Within the confines of the mysterious Black Tower, we see several strangers manifest into their new physical forms and stepping foot for the first time into the sable blackness of the Meta-Black's plane. These silhouetted humanoid embodiments of long-lost ambitions move about harmoniously as if all were on the same wavelength, tethered to a hive mind, all in agreement with what and how to contribute to their present circumstances. Eager to prove their worth, Zundis can be seen helping the newly manifested stranger, the vanguard, Chris Johnson, to their feet. Speaker Dawn thoroughly briefs him on their unsettling yet fortunate circumstances. Using the forge Zundis built, Original Cohen and I begin to forge away, building a respectable inventory of effective weaponry for fellow strangers. Welcome, 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 my people. I'm going in tonight with a pure objective. My goal with exploring the Meta-Black campaign is to start and finish, we'll call it a quest. Any objectives that we have, yes, there's going to be overarching objectives for the well-being of everybody in the Meta Tower, for all the strangers in this PvE type of campaign. But for each stream, I want to finish. An objective. Green. Jade on air. Thanks for joining. Happy to see you all. Green. Okay. So today we're going to just go over, see what we have so far. You know, I was looking over my roster so far, and I do have a solid 5 strangers at my disposal. And, you know, I had mentioned previously that I would only be using strangers of the creators who are present during the stream. But I have one person who, you know, they would never be able to make a Wednesday night 8 p.m. Eastern time. It would be impossible. And that made me think, man, I wonder how many other people would not be able to tune in. And if they're not tuning in, I would never use their strangers. So, making a little change to that. I'm going to use all the strangers at my disposal. We're all on this adventure together is the kind of the vibe that I wanted to go for. It's not like I have a table here and I got to fit 100 miniatures in front of me. This is all in the cloud. This is all in my brain. This is all in your heads. So I like the idea of every stranger present. And then if there is a stranger that is capable of taking on what we have to deal with, then that person would step up to bat. And take on that. And, you know, at the end of the day, you would benefit from the experience, especially if you're successful. But you're also putting your character's health and well-being on the line when you're stepping up onto the main stage to take on whatever we're dealing with. Jade on air says Black Brew is up for use, whether I'm here or not. Awesome. So Black Brew, we'll need to roll your third ability. Black Brew, because the new campaign approach is strangers get 3 abilities. You post your stranger into the Meta Tower, which is a video. I recommend you jump into that video, not now, but after this stream, and post your character Black Brew on there for everyone to see. Let us know what your motivation is. Let us know what your personality, what the stranger's personality is that they were able to hold on to from another life. And then I'm going to assign your character 3 abilities, and I'm going to marry those 3 abilities together and try to form some semblance of a concept for your stranger. And then we'll build on that concept. It'll change, it'll grow, and we'll take it from there. So far, with the 5 strangers that we have a very interesting team. Black Brew, if you can remind me Your stranger has two abilities so far. We'll need to roll your third one, but if you can remind us all what your first two abilities were, and if we can go ahead and roll up your third ability, so we can get you in on the action here. I wouldn't want you to come into the adventure with a disadvantage like that. There's going to be plenty of disadvantages going around. I also mentioned that I'm getting rid of permadeath. Your character cannot die. They can be hurt really bad. They can be maimed, but they cannot die. And that's for the purpose of, I don't want people to keep posting characters on the meta tower. I only want you to post one character, and one character only. So you don't have to, appear so many times on that page, in the comments. And so in lieu of just flat out death, we're going to find creative ways to sideline people, whether it be by way of injury. And that kind of gives some use for characters who can support us in another way, and not just action and fighting, but maybe back at the meta tower in this player versus environment and type of game, you have a person that's able to treat people who are injured or sick, and so on and so forth. So let's get to it. This is going to be a very simple process. My whole approach to this, and the reason you're here, is I don't want to be bogged down by a bunch of rules, dice rolls. I have everything from the Mythic system. I plugged everything into a online tool that I like to use called RPG Solo, and I'm going to be using the Mythic system to think on my feet as fast as possible, come up with a cohesive, and everything doesn't have to come together here and now. This is a work in progress, but the goal is to come up with just enough to allow us to progress into the meta black. Settlements. Now these are vague on purpose. A settlement is what we know is what we're going to encounter today. We can work with that. Now, I don't know if you had a chance to see the map. on pndrpg.com yet, our official website. But I redid the map. Before the redo, I had them very sprawled out like a traditional map. But I'm taking some inspiration from Legend of Mana, where the things that we encounter, locations, settlements, they are going to pop up on the map next to each other like a checkerboard, and we're filling in a checkerboard. So you can imagine that there's things in between and distance in between them, but on a grander scale, these are neighboring. We're going to build a board out, placing everything we encounter next to something that already exists, and then later on maybe we can flesh out what a realistic scaled map would look like. But until then, I'm just going to draw some inspiration from one of my favorite games, Legend of Mana. Let me go ahead and show you just a peek, since we're about to discover a new settlement today. Let's show you what the map looks like so far. So let me go ahead and bring up peoplesanddragons.com. Okay. And here is the map. So as you can see, we have the meta tower, which is right here. This is us. Near us, next to us, we have Plapindo dwelling. Behind us, we have a tomb. And then we have a great city called the Sand City Mafrafarul. South Harbor. It's a very confusing name. Haven't completely figured it out yet, but I don't know if a lot of people have, so I don't feel too left out. But these are locations that we had discovered in that kind of in that pre-run of the meta black, exploring the meta black. And when I say pre-run, I'm just talking about that little preseason where I was testing the waters. I had a couple characters rolled, and me and some viewers played some games together. And I was able to learn from that little beta test, and now we are in the real deal here. But I didn't want to get rid of the locations that we discovered, because they're really cool locations. And I know Speaker Dawn, Varium Gray and his stranger Speaker Dawn, they had a history skill, and we learned a lot about the tomb. We learned a lot about the tomb of self-sacrifice. That's not the real name of it yet. There's still so much to learn. But I'm showing you this to kind of give you the vision of how we're going to be expanding on the Meta Black by way of settlements. Very relevant now because it looks like we're going to be discovering another location. We're going to probably complete this and put it in front of us. So let's get to it. So this adventure's theme, using the Adventure Crafter deck. I don't have. I mean, you got to know how to use the book before you can use the deck. But I have the deck. If you don't know, if you aren't familiar, for those of you who are familiar with Mythic, they have a deck for what is called the Adventure Crafter, and it really helps you build out, gives you some rails for the adventures you're trying to build. Now, I personally can go through an entire session without using the Adventure Crafter and just go off of what I encounter, which is what I'll be doing. But more often than not, I will be using this just to kind of give us some structure, because if you don't have any structure, I could do this forever, and then we end up in a situation where we have to finish another time. The theme of today's adventure, of today's storyline, I'm going to say storyline, it's all encompassing, because it ain't all about just what we're about to discover, the settlement. That's the main objective. But with the strangers that we have, and knowing what I know about the strangers so far, I want there to be some character development. I want there to be some relationships being built between the characters. And if you are the controller of one of these characters and you're on the air, or if you're in the stream right now, feel free to throw in some things, and we'll take it as if that's what your character did. But there's going to be plenty of moments here to role play. And if you aren't here on the stream, whatever happens in this stream, I'm going to be adding things so that they can be role played later. So let's say we stop and there's a moment where we have some downtime. That's happening in the game. But there's a possibility that I will create an entire event around something that happened while we were on that adventure. Maybe when we come back to the tower, we harken back to something that had happened while we were on the adventure, and we make an event out of that. For all the viewers who have characters to get involved with, and most definitely the people that were on that adventure. It'll likely have something to do with them or not, but you'll see what I mean. But all right, the theme of this storyline today, now, this second, action. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and roll a plot point. I'm going to draw a plot point. Clear the record. So every storyline is always going to have to do with our survival in the Meta Black, as well as exploring the Meta Black. And of course whatever, we roll on the wheel. But the main arc is, and our purpose of being here is exploring and growing, developing ourselves, and surviving. So far we have, this is an action theme, clear the record. I'm going to go ahead and roll. I'm going to ask a question. So what exactly, what are we trying to get clarity on? Bestow messages. Bestow/messages. Okay. So what that means is, unless you had a chance to see some of the previous episodes, we discovered that there is a type of stranger called the Uko. Recently, I changed them to Ux, UCH pronounced Uck, or Uko, however. I like Uck. But they are a species. Now, there's endless types of people in this setting, and they're called strangers, and they all look different. But some of them have offspring, and they look very similar. And there's this really large population of Ucks, and Ucks are these humanoid. Their bodies are very malleable. They are considered a amorphous humanoid creature. They have really, really large pointed ears, and they are worshippers of the Meta Black. But they had split off into two different factions. And one faction, the Cult of Plapindo, they have come to this tower on numerous occasions. They took some of us away, and apparently they've been coming back. They have discovered that there are now people living here, and there was a message. There was a message that was delivered. It's a symbol. It's more of a symbol, but it looks like something was left. Something was given to us that's supposed to mean something. We don't know what that is yet, but there was a message from them to us, and it's probably hostile. It's probably a hostile message. We don't know that yet, but I'm thinking that we need to clear the record. There needs to be some clarity on where we stand between us and them. I'm going to say that this storyline is going to be about a settlement. Yes, it's not going to be a new settlement. I think we're going to focus this on Plapindo, the towers that are next to us. If they are that close, if they are neighbors, if they're that close, we probably need to clear the record on where we stand. We do currently have a stranger named Tress Hitch, who we saw went in their direction, and last we saw she was with them. But on a side quest here, we're going to figure out how we can learn more about their tower, their settlement, and hopefully, not in a bad way. We can learn about them without being an enemy, unless they want to be an enemy. We'll have to figure out how we're going to approach that. Bestow messages. Something was left on our doorstep, and we need to clear the record. We need to get on the same page with these people, figure out who they are. So what exactly was left? What kind of message was given to us? Triumph / exterior factors. All right, so from what we know, they are a very hostile group. This is some sort of is this some sort of I feel like they're saying they are better than us. They are threatening us. This is more a polite way of saying that we need to surrender this location. We've seen them here before. Maybe they left, and, they come back periodically. But now they're saying that they're probably saying they're looking to seize this tower. It's a really nice tower. It's a little rundown, has some work needed. By the way, we have a stranger named Green, aka Howl. See, I'm getting it. Very, very well. He's a builder. This stranger is a builder. So really going to be relying on that stranger to build up this place. That's if we can stay here. Apparently, we have some beef with these Plapindo cultists. Is this some sort of threat? Am I on the right track here? Is this some sort of threat? Are they threatening us to seize this place and triumph over our vacancy? I'm gonna say likely. Yes. I'm curious. What did this message look like? Was it written? I'm gonna say 50. I'm gonna say somewhat likely. No, and so it definitely wasn't written to the point where it was some sort of physical Is it some sort of a physical object or thing? I'm going to say very likely. And if you're wondering, I'm jumping between two tools. The other one is black magic. I like to use black magic for my odds, because I like the way black magic handles the chaos factors, which is a mechanic in Mythic that makes sure that based on the intensity of what's happening, the odds of something happening are higher, provided you're asking the right, honest questions. Anyway, not to get into the rules, right? This is some sort of physical thing. Right? Yes. All right. Now, obviously, this is something that is meant to invoke fear, I would think. What does this thing look like? I'm going to roll a description. Lightly/small. Lightly/small. All right. Is it some sort of, is it a body part? Is it some sort of body part? I'm going to say somewhat unlikely. No, but is there blood? Is it blood? Is it something like that? Is there blood on whatever it is? Likely. Yes. Is it some form of clothing that's supposed to scare us? Like maybe is it some sort of symbolism for something, as if to say this could be us? Is it clothing? 50-50. Yes. I want to see if maybe one of our strangers can maybe identify some sort of, get a cultural perspective on this. There's something that's in this message that is letting us know that it is coming from our neighbors, the cult of Plapindo. Matter of fact, is this a piece of their clothing? Is it some sort of symbol of Plapindo on this clothing, and it's covered in blood? It's a weird message to send, but a message nonetheless. Is it something that represents them? Is this something they do? Send stuff to their, to the people, to their enemies, covered in blood? Is this a piece of clothing that has one of their symbols on it? I'm going to say very likely. Yes, but it's not something they typically do when they are overly aggressive. There's some sort of this message kind of has vibes that this is more of an aggressive ask to talk and communicate, to meet. They are summoning us. They want to speak to us. Speaker Dawn recounts a record of historical events that spoke of violent acts committed by these Plapindo fanatics. Speaker then informs us of their notorious crafts, empowered by their hate. It's fair to approach these practitioners of extravagance with caution. Now, last I remember, they had discovered Tress Hitch. His cultist backs up several feet, rejoining his guards, then commands them to apprehend Tress Hitch with care, but not before making a promise to cure her of her amnesia and provide aid for the illness hampering her ability to travel. He then makes his way out of the tower as the two hideous cultists approach, Tress slowly and cautiously with the intent to apprehend. Not going to resist and go along easily. They've never seen strangers before. We don't look like anything they've ever seen. Grey Dart encountered one of these individuals. They all got killed, but when they seen Grey Dart, you could tell they've never seen them before. So let me think. We have Speaker Dawn, who has a history ability, and there's a possibility that he knows some of the culture, knows some of what's involved with Plapindo and Uck culture. So we're gonna, Speaker Dawn. I imagine this thing is sitting in front of our door at the tower. And just maybe in passing, someone's seen it. And we're all looking at it. Everyone that's nearby, they're looking at what is this? And Speaker Dawn comes. Speaker Dawn, very intelligent. This stranger, he comes with his books, his book in his hand. And with a ability rank of high, he's using history, and he specified that he's good with cultures and history. It's all near that same umbrella. And again, we all have amnesia. We're not from here. But if this is something that he knows, if this is a knowledge check, this is something that he can figure out and kind of recall. So with a history rank of high, and I'm going to say the difficulty of knowing this gesture is going to be low. And I say low because the fact that they did this, they're expecting us to know what it means, meaning that it's probably not that obscure. It's not an obscure fact that this is what they do. This is probably the equivalent to, sending a spike with someone's head on there. You just know. But this is some sort of cultural aspect of them, and Speaker Dawn might know. So with a high rank versus a low difficulty, does Speaker Dawn know the entirety of what this message means? Yes.
Propped up before the tower doors lie a savage symbol for us to behold. Tattered clothing, stained in blood, blowing in the night wind. The flapping of the cloth, presumably once worn by some poor victim, was meant to communicate a message that becomes lost on us upon first glance. Speaker Dawn, our expert on culture and history of it, recalls this being a form of intimidation and a method of summoning another group's presence.
Is this, I'm going to ask Speaker Dawn, is this something, does this mean immediately? I'm going to say unlikely. Immediately. Okay. I wonder if any of them are around now, because we don't necessarily know how long this thing has been sitting here. We don't know how long this thing has been sitting here. One of our strangers has a hunt. No, let me see. I'm going to step outside. Green, would Key have set up traps outside of the tower beforehand, seeing as we have hostile neighbors? Well, one, I think you're onto something, Key. I think you would have set up traps. All right. So Key he's amazing. He's a master with the use of ropes. And we were saying that, he likely utilized ropes for snares and things like that to secure the tower, and lures, with his he rolled taunting and tied to rope use, some sort of lure. He taunts people to come to him, and he uses rope arts to ensnare and so on and so forth. I think that we need to check to make sure that one of those traps that Green set already doesn't have the person that set this, that delivered this message. At the end of the day, I mean, it's not like we attacked them. It's just a trap. So let's see. So we are now looking out. We're looking about like, man, where could this? When did this message get here? What? This bloody cloak. We're looking at tracks. We're looking at tracks. First, let me ask this: do we see any tracks? Because this is a desert. Do we see any tracks? I'm gonna say likely. Yes. Yes. So are these tracks, are we able to follow these tracks? How matter of fact, I'm going to say that we're going to start following these tracks. If we are able to follow these tracks, I'm going to roll twice. We are going to follow these tracks, and then I'm going to roll again. So we start following these tracks, maybe around the corner, a little bit out yonder. Okay. We follow these tracks. Are these tracks, are they still there? Are they still able to lead us to where this person potentially went? I'm going to say somewhat likely. No. So we follow these tracks, but the sand, maybe blew over a little bit of it. But if this person got caught in a trap, there's a possibility we would hear them. So we follow these tracks outward a little bit. Is there a possibility that I'm going to ask a question. Did one of Green's snares or rope traps capture the person who left this message? I'm going to keep it real. Matter of fact, first, I'm going to roll Green's ability to set this trap. His ability with rope use is high because it's one of his abilities. And I'm going to say the difficulty of securing our home with, not under pressure, weak. So let's see how successful Green was even securing the place with these rope traps. Okay, he definitely was able to do it. All right. Almost was an exceptional yes, which is what I was kind of hoping for, but yes nonetheless. Hey, Green, let me ask you this. If you were to set traps around the tower, how excessive are you with the traps? How excessive? Maybe I can answer that question for myself. Your motivation, collect the truths. Your personality is bright, observant, shy, awkward, filled with dreaded longing. So your personality is observant. I feel like you would have meticulously placed traps in spots that no one would think of, which meaning to me that that increases the chances that this person is likely in a trap just because of how observant you are. So with that said, is there a possibility that this person was able to get caught in one of Green's rope traps? I'm going to say likely. Just want to say likely. Yes. Yes. Is it more than one person? Very unlikely. Okay. It's more than one person. It's probably two people. Near a short thing. Yeah, two people. We see two people. We see two Plapindo cultists ensnared by Green's rope traps. Coming in, Green says, coming in clutch with them ropes. What?
No one.
Hey, Green. What did these ropes look like? And what do you say? What do you say when we walk up on and discover these two buffoons? Not buffoons, because this was a meticulously placed trap. I can't wait to flesh out what a rope trap looks like in a desert. It probably doesn't feel great. It's probably tight because you're not suspended from anything. It's probably really tight. It's hindering you. What do these rope traps look like? Mechanically / young. Maybe I borrowed some materials from our smithing friends. Not sure what materials we might have. Original Coent has weapons. He's an exceptional weaponsmith, as well as blacksmith. So there's some metal pieces. There's some metal components to this trap. Okay. Are they injured at all? Are they injured at all? I'm gonna say likely. Yes. Event, debase / adversities. Okay. So when we arrive, they are tied up. They are in some pain. There's some metal pieces. There's some components to this trap that is very uncomfortable. They're in pain, and we also know that they're already kind of like bad people. I mean, from what we've seen so far, it's debatable, but they are obviously angry, and they are shouting at us. They are insulting us. These are our adversaries. They are cursing. They are angry. They are threatening us to free them from this obstacle that they've encountered. Is it in a language? That we all that we understand? I'm going to say likely. Yes, and this is some sort of common language. We'll need to. I'm adding that as lore. A common language that they are speaking and that we understand. Holding up that message that they delivered us. I'm going to ask them. Was this from y'all? Is this yours? What do they say? Decrease / anger. Lots of ways to interpret that, but I'm going to say this. They calm a little bit. They calm down a little bit. They are seeing that they're not getting anywhere. In fact, they're probably making the trap worse. They're making the trap worse. They are decreasing in their anger toward us, their hostility. All the moving is not working out for them, so they do need to calm down. They're not only decreasing in hostility, but they're also losing some blood. Are they losing some blood? Somewhat likely. Yeah, but it's not a lot of blood, but blood nonetheless. They're losing some blood. They're bleeding, and they're calming down. And I want to confirm with them if this is what it means. Speaker Dawn is going to confirm. Are you summoning? Are you summoning us? What do they say? Or are they summoning us? What do they say? Guide / adversities. So they say they say yes, and they are calling us to them. So when it says guide / adversities, that was their way of guiding their adversaries to them. Does Speaker Dawn know anything else about the cult of Plapindo? I'm going to say that the difficulty of knowing anything else. This is going to be a difficulty check of below average. Does Speaker Dawn know anything else that could potentially be helpful? That could be helpful to knowing about which way this can go. Is it safe to just go to their home? Are they known for trickery? Which I think they are. I think we rolled this a long time ago. But does he know anything else that could help us in this scenario of being asked to come to them? Because I don't know how I feel about that. High versus below average. No. No. I'm gonna ask. I'm gonna flat out ask. Wait, do we have anybody that's better at diplomacy than I am? Because this is about to get very diplomatic. I know Grey Dart has some sort of persuasion. Take a look. Let's have Ace the DM speak to them in their language, if he knows their language. I mean, they're their own. I mean, it's the Uck language probably, unless does Plapindo have their own unique language? I'm gonna say 50-50. No, so this is probably the a native Uck language. Does Ace the DM know the Uck language? I'm gonna say likely. It's a very prominent race of stranger in this area. I'm gonna say likely. Yes. So Ace the DM is going to start speaking to them in their language, and he's going to ask inquisitive. He's very inquisitive. Ace the DM is inquisitive, critical, measured, and a bit cowardly. Okay. He's going to ask, why is it that they seek us? What do you want to talk about? What do y'all want to talk about? It's the question. What do they say? Work hard / weather. Without going into too much detail, they say that they desire our fort and are offering and are working hard to acquire the fort without killing us. They want to discuss seizing our fort so that they can have a place to occupy farther away from their headquarters. So they're trying to expand. They're working hard to cooperate and not outright kill us or slaughter us. I mean, we've heard them say something like this before in another situation where they were trying and attempting to get that person to do what they want before resorting to violent measures. Now, the weather part comes in. They like the fort because it has a lot of potential. It's a sturdy fort to protect them and reinforce their base that they would build there from the harsh weather in this area known as the Brahubub, which are these sentient sandstorms. This is a tower that is able to obviously withstand, or maybe had in the past. The meta tower is a bit it's not in the best condition, but they see the potential just like we see the potential. We're absolutely not going to give up this location. The question is, do we tell them that here, or do we answer their summons and tell them in person? And the answer to that is, we're going to them, because the storyline is about what? About their settlement. So, what do y'all think? Do we leave these dudes out here, or leave them outside, or we bring them back? I think it's okay to leave them bleeding for a little bit. Let's bring them back. Keep them bound, Green says. All right, so we're gonna bring them back to the tower. I like the idea of taking care of this as soon as possible, but we're not going to operate on their time. We're not going to go immediately. We're going to marinate a little bit in the meta tower and maybe devise a plan. All right, so we're going to bring them back to the tower. I think we would all agree that we're not going to let them have this tower, and I feel safer going to their quarters with their hostages. All right, we need to figure out what they're capable of, though. the Speaker Dawn know the history of the cult of Plapindo, therefore knowing what they're capable of. I'm going to say likely. Yes. And with a knowledge check, does he know anything about their craft? I'm going to say the difficulty of knowing such information like that is to the point where the information is useful. I'm going to say is above average. Yes. So he knows that they are capable of summoning and using hate to fuel their crafts without the use of boon rocks. This is some sort of power they have that channels their inner hate, and they're able to manifest ranged projectile weapons. Which is good that we have their hands bound like this. So I have a feeling that that rope use is going to come in handy. If we can bound them, they won't be able to produce the semantics needed to use their spells, their craft. And this is a conversation that we're having. You know, we're all talking to Speaker Dawn, who's teaching us about, you know, the cults of Plapindo and what they believe. And you know, I feel like the conversation of the Meta Black comes up, knowing that that's what they worship. We also talk about, you know, their enemies. What can, you know, now that we're interrogating them, I'm going to, you know, Grim View. Grim View is a stranger who has the intimidation skill. We're going to use Grim View. We're going to have Grim View step in, and we're going to have him answer. We're going to have him ask some questions. And using an intimidation skill of high, we're going to have him ask, who's their leader? Who's their leader is the question. And with an intimidation, we're going to throw some intimidation on that. We're going to say the difficulty. We're going to say the difficulty is to intimidate them is going to be, you know, because of the situation that they're in. I'm going to say it's going to be average. We're going to get a bonus of 2. They're outnumbered. They're helpless. With an intimidation of high +2 versus average, he's going to throw some pepper on that question. Is he successful? Yes. And he's going to ask, who is their leader?
Grey Dart and Grimview watch their bound captives from afar, quietly discussing a method of approach. Grimview steps through the darkness toward the captives with only his eerie face made visible by the moonlight beaming through the tower's crumbling infrastructure. In a stern, frigid tone, Grimview bids for answers.
Do they answer? I'm going to say very likely. Yes. So they're going to tell us about their leader. And I'm going to introduce this new NPC to the story. I'm going to roll a character trait for this new NPC. This character is connected to an existing character. So this cult leader is in some shape or form, some way, shape, or form connected to an existing character. Well, we know that's Tress Hitch. We know that's Tress Hitch. But that kind of messes with the meta because the last time we've seen Tress Hitch, she actually was with them. And I don't want anything to Maybe we can go that route. Tress Hitch technically is with them, I was going to say she's with us, but maybe that's the connector. Tress Hitch got here before the rest of us did. Remember, she was the third stranger. So we don't know Tress. We're going to say we don't know Tress Hitch yet. In our conversation with them, we are talking about their leader. And this person mentions, because we were able to intimidate them enough, they're getting a little loose with the lips, but they mention that our leader has one of us.
Somewhat shaken to the core by Grimview's demeanor, the fanatics come clean regarding their ulterior motives and plan to leverage a hostage stranger over us.
And I'm immediately thinking that, is this only about seizing this location? Because initially they didn't mention the fact that they have one of the strangers, but again, they don't know they don't know what strangers are. Maybe they associate this location with strangers. Maybe they want to get this location not only because it's it can be fortified, but also they're trying to learn more about strangers because of Tress Hitch, who they pretty much kidnapped from that base. I'm going to go with that. Using intimidation, we're going to ask them basic questions such as, when we arrive to that tower, is there anything we need to be worried about? And I'm going to probably do another intimidation because that's one hell of a question. Because now we're asking for secrets. With an intimidation of high, I'm going to ask them, is there anything that we need to worry about? I'm still going to keep the +2, but because this is a pretty sensitive question, I'm going to make the difficulty +1, so high +2 versus average +1. Is my intimidation successful to get them to spill some secrets? Is there anything we should be worried about when we approach? Yes. Random event, player character negative, waste/possessions. I'm going to interpret that, and I know it's possessions, but I'm going to interpret that as, all right, so first they say, yes, what you need to worry about is that we have your people, and if you do anything crazy, the person that we are in possession of, Tress Hitch, we're going to kill them. Now, whether that's true or not, we don't know, but they're saying that that's something that that they're planning on leveraging against us, is this stranger who they aren't really sure is affiliated with us, but they have a hunch that they are, and they're using Tress Hitch as leverage. Now, is it true? I'm not sitting here saying that Tress is like Princess Peach or anything, but they obviously have her in their confines, and she's probably at a disadvantage. She technically went there by choice. I mean, she was outnumbered previously, but they were treating her quite well. We don't know that, though. But they're pretty much saying that, they plan on leveraging her against us. And fortunately, thanks to Green and Speaker Dawn, we have some good leverage here with these individuals. Do I think that these cultists are valuable to the entirety of the Plapindo Cult? No. But it's a body to stand behind. At this point, we just want to talk. We want to see what they have to say. That's it. We're not going to war. Speaker Dawn, Varium Gray. we're getting ready to go to the Tower of Plapindo. And we have some hostages to use as leverage, hopefully. They just want to talk. They want to talk about seizing control of the tower, which we're not going to give up. And if we have to display power, we will. Actually, you know what? We're not going to go to their... We shouldn't go to their tower. No. I think we should send these dudes back and tell them to meet us somewhere. Let's go to the tower. I forgot the tower is the key here. We'll just stay on our P's and Q's. We have a nice group. Thanks for watching. If you too would like to get involved in our interactive solo role-playing campaign, and you want a stranger to represent yourself for me to use in our exploration of the Meta Black, please head to our Meta Tower video here and follow the brief instructions in that video. See you in the Meta Black.